Model 17 Staggerwing is an iconic cabin biplane featuring a highly distinctive negative wing stagger that debuted back in 1932. It is powered by a robust 450 horsepower Pratt & Whitney radial engine, which allows it to cruise smoothly at over 200 miles per hour. Model 18 Twin Beech is a classic twin-engine tailwheel transport produced from 1937 to 1970. Powered by dual 450 horsepower radial engines, it cruises at 190 miles per hour. Serving heavy military and civil roles, it left a massive legacy in global multi-engine training. Model 19 Musketeer Sport is an agile low-winged utility trainer built to offer flight schools an affordable entry-level option. Its 150 horsepower Lycoming engine yields a solid cruise of 115 knots. It is operated globally by aero clubs and private pilots for initial training. Model 23 Musketeer, Custom and Sundowner form a famous family of four-seat light civil aircraft. Utilizing engines up to 180 horsepower, they hit a cruise of 120 knots. They are operated extensively by private owners and flight schools for their rugged, safe design. Model 24 Musketeer Super and Sierra stepped up the lineage by adding retractable gear and a constant propeller. Driven by a 200 horsepower Lycoming engine, it cruises at 137 knots. It is favored by cross-country private flyers for its efficiency and speed. Model 26 Wichita, built as the AT-10 trainer for World War II, was constructed out of plywood to save vital aluminum. Powered by twin 295 horsepower Lycoming engines, it hit 190 miles per hour, training thousands of Army Air Force's bomber crews for combat. Model 33 Debonair launched as a budget single-engine plane with a straight tail instead of the signature V-tail design. Later rebranded under the main Bonanza name, its 225 horsepower Continental engine drives an easy 185 mile per hour cruise worldwide. Model 35 Bonanza is an iconic aircraft famous for its drag-reducing V-tail design, which debuted in 1947. Powered by a 280 horsepower Continental engine, it cruises at 175 knots. It saw an unbroken 4-decade production run driven by wealthy private owners. Model 36 Bonanza lengthened the airframe to fit a 6-seat cabin equipped with double doors for easy loading. Using a 300 horsepower Continental engine, it delivers a high-speed cruise of 167 knots, making it a premium choice for air charter and upscale pilots. Model 45 Mentor, known as the military T-34, was built from the Bonanza as a rugged tandem trainer with a straight tail. Driven by a 225 horsepower engine, it hit 190 miles per hour for the US Air Force and Navy before evolving into later turboprop versions. Model 50 Twin Bonanza was a post-war milestone, serving as the first twin-engine corporate model to fill executive travel needs. Its dual 260 horsepower Lycoming engines gave a cruise of 170 miles per hour, later serving the US Army as the rugged L-23. Model 55 Baron is a premier light twin developed to replace the Travel Air by adding a new tail structure. Powered by twin 260 horsepower Continental engines, it flies at a swift 200 knots, setting an elite standard for corporate travel and multi-engine reliability. Model 56 TC Baron is a fast and loud light twin built to test high-altitude turbocharged power plants. Driven by twin 380 horsepower Lycoming engines, it hits 290 miles per hour. It was operated by affluent owners requiring extreme high-altitude performance. Model 58 Baron is the definitive masterclass in twin-light aviation, with a long fuselage and large aft club seating doors. Powered by twin 300 horsepower Continental engines, it cruises at 200 knots. It stays in production today under Textron for charter and advanced training. Model 60 Duke is a pressurized corporate twin featuring a sleek low-drag profile and sharp-raked surfaces. Driven by twin 380 horsepower Lycoming engines, it cruises over 240 knots. Raytheon halted production due to high complexity and maintenance costs. Model 65 Queen Air introduced a heavy-duty corporate transport cabin that laid the direct groundwork for the King Air series. Powered by dual 340 horsepower Lycoming piston engines, it hits 185 knots for regional air networks and global military forces. Model 70 Queen Air optimized commuter routes by pairing a longer fuselage with the highly efficient piston engines of earlier models. Its twin 340 horsepower Lycoming engines drive a cruise of 183 knots, utilized heavily by air taxi networks globally. Model 76 Duchess is a 4-seat light twin built for training centers using counter-rotating propellers to eliminate critical engine issues. Driven by twin 180 horsepower engines, it cruises at 130 knots, acting as a staple fleet plane for flight academies. Model 77 Skipper was a clean-sheet trainer built to challenge the primary flight school market with a distinct T-tail layout. Driven by a 115 horsepower Lycoming engine, it cruises at 105 knots with great visibility and highly predictable spin characteristics. Model 80 Queen Air upgraded the transport line by adding a swept vertical tail and stronger engines for corporate flight. Driven by twin 380 horsepower Lycoming power plants, it cruises at 195 knots for executive charter fleets and international militaries. Model 88 Queen Air was the pinnacle of the piston corporate line, featuring a pressurized cabin and round windows for high altitude. Its twin 380 horsepower Lycoming engines hit a cruise of 195 knots before the family transitioned into turboprop King Airs. Model 90 King Air transformed business flight in 1964 by fitting the Queen Air frame with Pratt & Whitney PT6 turboprops. Cruising at 220 knots, it serves corporate fleets, air ambulances, and global militaries through multiple brand changes over many decades. Model 95 Travel Air was an efficient light twin, built by pairing the Bonanza cabin with a modified T-34 Mentor tail. Powered by twin 180 horsepower Lycoming engines, it hit a cruise of 165 knots, serving as the evolutionary link to the Baron family. Model 99 Airliner was an unpressurized twin turboprop built to serve the booming regional airline industry of the late 1960s. Driven by dual PT6A engines, it cruises at 240 knots with 15 passengers, proving highly reliable for commuter and cargo networks. Model 100 King Air expanded the 90 series by adding a lengthened fuselage for extra passenger room and a larger wing structure. Powered by twin PT6A turboprops, it clocks a cruise of 235 knots for corporate departments and regional charter airlines alike. Model 200 Super King Air, including the upgraded 250 and 260 models, features a T-tail and potent PT6 turboprops. Cruising at 290 knots with a glass cockpit, it dominates corporate, military and air ambulance fleets under Textron Aviation. Model 220 Denali, originally a Cessna project before being rebranded under Textron Aviation, is a modern single-engine turboprop. Powered by a 1300 horsepower GE Catalyst engine, it hits 285 knots, offering a luxury flat-floor cabin to compete with PC-12. Model 300 Super King Air, along with its stretched 350 and 360 versions, is the ultimate flagship turboprop. Flying at 310 knots via dual PT6 engines, it serves corporate, cargo and military operations globally under Textron Aviation. Model 390 Premier is an advanced light business jet, utilizing a composite fuselage and swept aluminum wings. Driven by twin Williams turbofans, they hit 450 knots, operated by executive fleets before production ended in the Hawker Beechcraft and Raytheon eras. Model 400 Beechjet began as a Mitsubishi design before Beech refined it into a premier corporate light jet cruising at 468 knots. Following mergers, it was rebranded as the Hawker 400 and 400 XP, serving corporate fleets and air charter lines. Model 1300 Airliner was a regional commuter airliner built from the Super King Air 200 platform to serve short routes. Driven by twin PT6 turboprops, it cruises at 270 knots with 13 seats, offering regional shuttle fleets excellent short-field utility. Model 1900 in its popular C and D models is a highly successful 19-passenger twin turboprop airliner for regional routes. Powered by dual PT6A engines, it cruises at 280 knots, serving as a rugged global workhorse for regional airlines and heavy cargo links. Model 2000 Starship is a radical composite corporate plane with a canard design and twin-pusher turboprops hitting 335 knots. Sales were slow, prompting Raytheon to buy back and scrap most units, leaving only a few flying today with classic vintage owners. Model 3000 Texan II, known as the T6 family, is a military turboprop trainer adapted from the Swiss Pilatus PC-9. Powered by an 1100 horsepower PT6 engine, it hits 320 knots as the primary trainer for the United States Air Force and Navy fleets. UC-43 Traveler was the military name given to the Model 17 Staggerwing during its World War II service with the US Army and Navy. Driven by a 450 horsepower engine, it hit 200 miles per hour as a fast transport for high-ranking officers and diplomats. C-12 Huron is the United States military designation for a fleet of utility transport aircraft adapted from the Super King airline. Powered by twin PT6A turboprops, it cruises at 290 knots, fulfilling missions ranging from embassy support to light tactical cargo hauling. RC-12 Guardrail is a heavily modified electronic intelligence aircraft built for the United States Army on the Super King airframe. Driven by twin PT6 turboprops, it cruises at 270 knots, providing critical real-time intercept capabilities for combat commanders. Q-22 Pathé Eagle was a military electronic relay plane developed from the Bonanza line during the Vietnam War. Cruising at 160 knots via a turbo-continental engine, it monitored sensor data along the Ho Chi Minh Trail using large wingtip tanks for extreme endurance. T-1 Jayhawk is a twin-engine military trainer jet adapted from the commercial Beechjet 400 platform to train heavy transport pilots. Powered by twin JT-15D turbofans, it cruises at 450 knots for the United States Air Force Advanced Flying Squadrons. CT-134 Musketeer was the military name for the modified Model 23 primary trainer used by the Canadian Armed Forces. Driven by a 160 horsepower Lycoming engine, it cruised at 150 knots, training generations of military pilots until the 1990s. MQ-M107 Streaker was a reusable turbojet target drone built to test air-to-air and surface-to-air missile systems. Reaching over 500 knots on a compact turbojet, it was operated heavily by the US Army and Air Force to validate frontline defensive weapon networks.